As you guys know, UFC Fight Night Oliveira versus Gamrot is right around the corner, and this fight night will be taking place in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil on October 11th. As you guys know, this was originally supposed to be Oliveira versus Fiziev, but Fiziev he had to pull out, and Mateusz Gamrot took his place. I believe it was like 4 weeks notice, 5 weeks notice, something like that. Oliveira, he might have had some time to fit in like Mateusz Gamrot's like game plan and his fighting style into his training camp, but both fighters will be taking this fight on about 5 weeks notice. But anyways, in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions for every single fight happening on this fight night card. So without further ado, let's get straight into my predictions. First fight on the card, we have Simon Oliveira versus Luan Lacerda. And I think Luan Lacerda should win by a decision. Next up, we have Julia Palostri versus Carolina Kowalkiewicz. And I think Juliana Palostri will win by a decision. Next fight in the heavyweight division, we have Walter Walker versus Muhammad Usman. And I think Walter Walker is going to win by submission. I think he's going to win by that heel hook submission. He's so good at getting that heel hook submission on these heavyweights. Heavyweights in general, they're not that good at grappling. So I find it funny that someone like Walter Walker, he's not really like this physically imposing heavyweight, but he knows how to grapple and he's pretty fast to latch up these submissions. So I think Walter Walker is going to win by a submission by heel hook. Eventually, is going to catch up to him. I don't believe that he'll be heel hooking like Sergey Spivak or like Marcin Tybura in the rankings. But as long as he's facing these unranked heavyweights, I believe that he can definitely get that heel hook submission. But next fight on the card, we have Lucas Rocha versus Stuart Nicole. And I think Lucas Rocha will win by a decision. Next fight on the card, we have Arina Alexieva versus Beatrice Mesquita. And I think Beatrice Mesquita will win by a decision. Next fight in the heavyweight division, I believe we have Vitor Petrino versus Thomas Peterson. And I think Vitor Petrino, he's going to win this fight by a TKO. As you guys should know, Vitor Petrino, he was a former light heavyweight, and now he's made his move to the heavyweight division. He won his debut by a submission by rear naked choke, I believe against Austin Lane, and this is going to be his sophomore fight in the heavyweight division, and I think that he's going to TKO Thomas Peterson. This should be a very easy matchup. Vitor Petrino, he has the speed advantage, the skill advantage, and I can see him getting this done in the first round. Now moving on to the fight headlining the prelims, we have Rafael Fijo versus Clayton Carpenter, and I think Clayton Carpenter will win by a decision. Now moving on to the main card, we have Lucas Almeida versus Michael Aswell, and I think Michael Aswell will win by a decision. Next we have Ricardo Ramos versus Con Offley, and I think Ricardo Ramos will win by a decision. Next fight on the card, we have Janata Deniz versus Mario Pinto, and I think Mario Pinto will win by a TKO. This is a very risky pick, I think. Mario Pinto, I believe he has one fight in the UFC. He made his debut, and that fight was really close. Actually, never mind. I think he knocked out Austin Lane in his last fight, I believe. Yeah, never mind. I think Mario Pinto, he should knock out Janata Deniz. I would not be surprised if Janata Deniz wins. Janata, he is a great kickboxer. He's good at staying safe. However, his last fight against Alvin Hines, he was going life and death with Alvin Hines in like the third round. That's a very bad look. Alvin Hines, he was a regional level heavyweight, and Janata Deniz was like almost ranked at the time. So that fight was a pretty bad performance for him, even though he won. So that's really my main reason for picking Mario Pinto in this matchup. But moving on to the feature fight of the card, we have an explosive matchup between Vicente Luque versus Joe Alvarez. and I think this is going to be an easy win for Joe Alvarez. I think he's definitely going to win this by knockout. And after this matchup, I believe that Joe Alvarez will show more activity in the welterweight division. Obviously, he doesn't have to do that 15 extra pounds to weight cut to lightweight. And because of that, I think we'll be seeing him more often. And I can see him becoming a serious contender in the welterweight division. But now for the co-main event, we have Davison Figueiredo versus Montel Jackson. And I'm going to be going with Davison Figueiredo to win by a decision. This is kind of a risky pick because in his last fight, he did not look good. I don't know what he was trying to do to Corey Sandhagen. He was just always going for the legs, being easy to just topple over. And it was just weird because like the reason that he got TKO'd by injuring his knee in that fight was because he was the one initiating all the leg locks, the reaps, and that's really what got himself in trouble and got him injured. So hopefully he doesn't go into this fight with that type of game plan. But if we're going off of the past Figueiredo in the bantamweight division, I believe Figueiredo, he should be able to be good enough to turn back Montel Jackson. But now for the main event of the card, we have Charles Oliveira versus Mateus Gamrot. And I think you're going to have to go with Charles Oliveira by finish. I think Charles Oliveira has all the tools that Gamrot is going to have a hard time dealing with. Charles Oliveira, he has the guillotine threat when Gamrot is attempting so many takedowns. And Charles Oliveira has the power on the feet. We saw when Dan Hooker was just walking down Mateus Gamrot in the third round when he fought at UFC 305. And Charles Oliveira, he has more power in his hands than Dan Hooker. And he obviously has the submission threat. So when you have a wrestler like Gamrot, who's going to be constantly going to the grappling, constantly trying to wrestle Charles Oliveira, there is going to be a lot of danger pursuing that area because Charles Oliveira is so good on the ground. Charles Oliveira, he might get controlled, and Gamrot's best way to win this fight is definitely by controlling Charles Oliveira and winning by a decision. But Charles Oliveira, he's so dangerous. He's dangerous off his back. He can latch up the triangles. He can latch up the guillotines as Mateus Gamrot shoots in. He can latch up arm bars. He's so dangerous with his jiu-jitsu that I think that'll definitely put that thought into Gamrot's mind before he shoots his takedowns. And then when you combine that with the power on the feet, the power in his hands, this is a bad stylistic matchup for Mateus Gamrot. I don't know why a lot of people are picking him to win this fight. Yeah, Charles Oliveira, he just got flatlined out cold by Ilia Topuria, but Mateus Gamrot does not have anything near the power of Ilia Topuria on the feet, and he doesn't have near the technique or the boxing of Ilia Topuria to even land a shot like that on Charles Oliveira's chin. So I think this is going to be a pretty straightforward matchup. I think Charles Oliveira, worst case scenario, he should win by a decision. But I think Charles Oliveira is going to finish Mateus Gamrot, whether it be by TKO or submission. So that's going to be it for this video. As usual, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.